A newly released report from the Alcoholic Beverage Regulation Administration found Nellie's was in violation for engaging in a method of operation conducive to unlawful conduct while multiple assaults happened that night. The investigator obtained surveillance videos, 911 calls, and police reports. One witness saying a security guard punched him for recording the incident. The security company owner says there is a no-touch policy, let alone punching. There have been 3 protests outside of Nellie's since this video, sparking public outrage. Security at the bar seen dragging Keisha Young down the stairs by her hair. Nellie's has since fired the security. Another video moments earlier showing her in a fight with staff. Her attorney saying she was defending her cousin, Deon Kidd, seen here wearing white after some confusion over a bottle brought from outside became violent.
My client did not do anything to justify the beating he took.
Kidd's attorney, Justin Holloman, filing this letter to Nellie since the incident, demanding to find a resolution without having to file a lawsuit.
First of all, my client is seeking compensation for his injuries. He went out that night to have fun, not to be injured, not to be beat. So you can't put a price tag on emotional trauma.
The ABRA investigator interviewed multiple people, including the security guard who dragged Young. He said his job was to keep the top of the stairs clear and said no other information.
Something needs to happen to Nellie's, yes. A suspension or revocation of the license, something.
The uproar causing such a huge problem, the D.C. police chief asked for a review, as seen in this letter. The worst outcome for Nellie's in the process would be a suspension or revocation of its license. But for now, the bar remains closed weeks later. No word on when the owner plans to reopen. Matthew Torres, WUSA 9.